So I just built two small application in a React platform. One is the field service. Right now I created in a desktop version, but I haven't created any mobile version. So this field service, they will be just reading a case, updating the case. They cannot perform any other operations. Okay, and then marketing app, where they can view the leads and then they can update the leads. Okay, the first scenario is field service portal app. Okay, so if you see here, three different layers. So the Salesforce, middleware, and then client app. The client app is the one I'm talking about, the mobile app or external application, right? So you can have a client app that's I built on a React. So basically when the customer go to the app, right, so they will be having a login button. Okay, and then probably I will show you the next slide. This is the application that I built. Okay, so the field service portal, so they will be having a login button. When they click a login button, it's going to open a Salesforce a login page where they will be giving their Salesforce credentials. Okay, so we assume that the Salesforce is the identity provider. Okay, so once they provide the username and password, okay, so it's a regular two-factor authentication. So it is taking them into the application. So it's going to authenticate in the backend. It's going to bring the list of case that particular field technician have an access. Okay, so in the portal we define the scope for this particular application alone, the external system. So I'm going back a little bit. So okay, so this is the custom scope I created in the system. So one is for field service, read my cases, field service, update my cases, and then marketing, update lead, and then marketing view lead. Okay, so in that, after that I created a two different external client app. This is called connected app previously, now it's external client app. So marketing tool is one connected app, and then the field service is the another connected app. So if I go to the field service, so we'll be defining all the things, like we are giving a name, email address, all those things, and then this is the basic process. So this is where, like, so when I talk about like a standard scopes, right, the Salesforce is giving a standard scope, like, yeah, you can access the API via this connection app. Okay, this external client app. So if you manage user data via APIs, and then the next one is you can refresh the token. Okay, so if the token is expired, you can send an API call to the Salesforce to get the access. Beyond that, if you want to access any chatter API, if you want to access any other APIs, you cannot do through this connection. Okay, from the field service app, you cannot access any other API other than those two API. That is the standard scope. So anybody have any question on the standard scope? This is given by Salesforce, like you can restrict this particular connection, because we created a client app for the field service mobile app. Whenever someone is trying to connect from the field service to Salesforce, it's going to allow them to access only those two API. You cannot access any other API through the connection. So we added another layer of security, like you can add the IP address, like no one can make a call to the Salesforce other than these IP addresses. Okay, so you can add a more securities in your connected app. But so this is the policy, right? So once we created the connected app, we'll be defining a policy. So whoever having this permission set, they will be having an access to this connected app. So for example, you are a sales rep, we assign this permission set to you, then that means you have access to this connected app, external client app. So here, if you see here, like this is the scope. Okay, so we assigned only two scope here, like a field service update case status, and then field service read my case. So they have only these two custom scope that we defined, so that whenever we make a call from external application to Salesforce, it's going to give them back that, hey, this particular user have access to only these two scope. Okay, based on this scope, we can control our external system that he can perform only viewing the case, updating the case. But even though, I'll go back, so he has a permission set. That permission set have access to view the lead, edit the lead, or delete the lead, right? So he has all the access. But when he go to the application, because we defined only those two scope, he can read and he can update the case, right? So he cannot delete any of the leads or any of the cases from the external system, okay? Because we defined the scope to perform only two actions, that is view and then edit. So that is how we can control the Salesforce data from the external system, means external application. So I'm going back to the flow again. So whenever the user is trying to make a call to Salesforce, it's going to authenticate. Whenever it's authenticate, it's going to return the access token as well as the scope. What are the scope we defined? Like we standard scope like API, refresh token. On top of that, it's going to return back to them other two custom scope like field service, read case, field service, update case. So it's going to give all those scope. Once the scopes are given back to the client application, the client application, it's going to take them into the view case page where it's going to come into the middleware where it's going to check, okay, so now we are going to make an API call to Salesforce to bring all the cases. And then before we make a call to the Salesforce, it's going to check, hey, this particular user have view case scope. If yes, then make a call to Salesforce to read all the case data. If this particular user does not have that connected app, does not have access to that connected app, he does not have the scopes, then it's going to stop them and then bring it out, hey, you don't have access to read the case from a Salesforce. So it will throw the error message. It's going to stop the user there that you cannot perform any more action. So, and then it's going to take them into the Salesforce and then it will get the result and then bring it back. If no, it's going to take it back them to the error message page that you don't have access. You have access to read the case in a Salesforce, but this particular connected app, you don't have a read access. You don't have a custom scope to read the case. But the same user, when he's logging into Salesforce directly, he can read the case, he can delete the case, he can update the case. But through the application, he can just view and then update the case.